Now, it may get bigger, it may get a little bigger, it may not get bigger at all. We'll see what happens. But regardless of what happens, we're totally prepared.
It has been the honor of my life to serve you. I won't stop. In fact, I will be right there with you as a citizen.
Was an ex-commando. He killed 16 Chechen rebels single-handed.
Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, nice, huh? He was with the Interior Ministry. Guy's some kind of Russian Green Beret. This guy cannot come back to tell this story. You understand?
I hear you.
Serious, Paulie.
Huh?
Call me back.
You're not gonna believe this. He killed 16 Czechoslovakians. Guy was an interior decorator. His house looked like shit.
Are you ready?
Welcome back to segment 2. We were able to figure it out, stop it, restart it, and get going again. So I'm proud of us.
Yep.
Sounds like the crowd's proud of us too. Oh, if you didn't know, because you see the screen, I film in front of a live audience. It's crazy you don't see it on there. One day we'll show you, but there's at least nobody here ever. So I was going to break this down, and it just kind of, it's going to go that way, certain shows. We were going to do politics and news, and then the sports ended up being part of the news. And so this show is going to be kind of what I'm going to call the sports and pop culture, sports and entertainment segments. I'm going to label it. So we're going to me, the top story in sports today came out with another thing that I want to bitch about. But it was, if you were watching the GronkCast, which is what my bitch is, because they had 7 Gronkowskis or 6. They had all of the brothers and the dad, which one of the brothers he played pro baseball but didn't actually make it to a pro team. All of the other ones at least stepped field on a pro football field. But none of them really knew about UFC or fighting. So to me, it was kind of one of the dumbest things. Like I was telling you I was going to bitch about this, and you said, I hate all of those. I hate the Manning one. I hate whoever does that. I disagreed. I said I kind of like the Manning one, especially if it's a game that I'm not that. I couldn't watch them and watch my Cowboys. But
you want it. But you don't want it taken away from the game.
Exactly. But if it was Pittsburgh and Philadelphia, or Pittsburgh and whoever, I don't really care that much about them. Then I would probably, unless I had some, even then, for my fantasy stuff, I'll listen to Eli tell me who's getting the rushing yards or whatever. But
yeah,
so my bitches, they had those guys on there, and literally, like Gronkowski, who was the main one, I guess you get on him for entertainment, was not entertaining because you weren't letting him drink. He didn't know shit. I mean, honestly, did not know shit about UFC. A couple of the brothers, the dad did a little bit. I guess they get together, they sent in something, they get together and watch all these events, and thought it would be awesome if, ESPN's like, well, hell yeah, while we watch the fights, we'll sit here and have you guys talk about the fights, which really took away from a couple decent fights in the prelims. So they only did that for like a 2-hour segment. But I guess if you wanted to and you bought the pay-per-view, you could stay over and watch that, switch between either watching Rogan or whoever called the fights last night, call them, or listen to Gronkowski's talk about it. And I guess we'll get to it in a second, you chose the latter to listen to Rogan, the guy who knows how fights are called, regularly calls them. You listen.
It was Cormier too. I like those two together. Cormier's just, he knows it.
We'll get to the break that down in a second. So there was a shocking fight last night happened, and I'll give my little bit of take. But during the Gronk thing, they had Dana White on early on, and they're talking, and a thing comes up where Gronk basically accidentally admits, hey, because of Dana White, me and Tom Brady were almost Raiders. We were literally negotiating. I was still retired. Tom Brady was going to sign. They were going to do a sign and trade thing for Derek Carr, and Gruden fucked it up, I guess. So here was on the show last night. I'll just play a second of it. I'm starting to, I used to love Dana White, and then I hated him. Then I got back on board with him, and Dana White loves him some Dana White, but he's earned it. He's a billionaire, made a huge company, whatever.
Yeah.
I worked to put that deal together for
Brady and Gronk to come to the Raiders. And it was almost a done deal. And at the last minute, Gruden blew the deal up and said that he didn't want him. And all hell broke loose, man.
So that was on the GronkCast last night. And
so when was that though? Was that like
20.
before he went to?
This is before he went to
before
Tampa
the
Bay.
Bucks.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there was a thing out there. He was down to 2 teams at the end, and apparently on this story, it goes on. That's like a 5-minute thing, but it goes on to say literally he was in town, had a realtor looking for him a house. Was how serious he wanted to be there because he knew it would be huge for his brand, and with the betting, with all of that, with the new stadium coming there, with all that, the coverage they were going to get. So I guess that was almost a done deal. And along other things that Gruden fucked up that year, he fucked that up. So, and then he's, gone later that year. So that was the big news that, the only thing that watching the GronkCast for me mattered. I tried, that was right after Dana White was done. They went on to Chuck Liddell was on there, and listening to Chuck Liddell, who I love to death. Probably if we did a list, which we're not going to get to that one today, of my top fighters of all time. I don't know if he is now, but at one point he was definitely in my top 3 to 5 favorite, just good fighters. He was fun to watch knock people out in his show and his whole act. I created my drunk alter ego, was called the Chuck after Chuck Liddell. But he listened to him and Gronk talk, and I don't even remember who the host was of the GronkCast. He didn't know UFC very good either. So it was bad. It was real bad, but Liddell is gone in the head. He had worse audio than we do by far. I mean, we sound like a professional podcast compared to what ESPN had going on with him. My wife's like, I don't know if he's gone, if he's drunk, or if this is the audio I'm having trouble with. And I said, it's all 3, because he's probably drunk. He's definitely punch drunk, which is why even Dana White said he just, he felt bad when him and Ortiz had that last fight. He's just half the sloth he used to be. And the quality of, I mean, he was talking into like a regular head, just right into his laptop, and it was bad. It was real bad. And he was in like a mess hall or in a hotel lobby or some shit. So it was bad. But in those fights, which you watched, and I'll have you break down. Well, actually, the funniest part is I seen the part you didn't see, and you seen the parts I didn't see, because the only round I watched was the 5th and final round. You watched all 4 and the first 2 minutes or so of the 5th round and said, this fight's over. Like everybody said. I was just keeping up with it through Twitter, and I watched another little fight cast thing. I was just lazy. I didn't want to go find it last night. And I really did kind of want to watch the fights, but I did get lazy. And all of a sudden, it just came everywhere. It rang that, crazy knockout. And he got his ass kicked for 4.5 rounds. And then that head kick, man, that head kick is, if you've got a head kick, you have a chance. In any fight, if you have a head kick, you have a chance. So,
I just happened to find it by just random. I was just scrolling through TikTok, and somebody was just live streaming it from his TV. And so I was watching it, and then I caught it right at the end of the first round. And Edwards probably won that first round because he was dominating. And then after that, Usman just started taking him down, working all over him. So I was like, fuck, it's not going to happen. This is getting boring. Like every time
he repeated the first time they fought.
Yeah. And he just was wearing him the fuck out. Like he just was all over.
You want to strike with Edwards because he's fast and crazy. I mean, that's what he hit, one kick knockout guy.
Apparently so. So I think it was like 2 minutes into the 5th round. I was like, I'm done with this. And I just slid it off. Didn't think anything about it. And then I happened to, I don't know, probably like 20 minutes later on Twitter. And the first thing I opened, and he's just out cold. I was like, holy
feet curling,
shit.
Feet straight.
Yeah. I couldn't believe it. And then the second thing I saw was Dana putting the belt on him, and I was like, what the hell? I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
Did you see the deal of Rogan after he won? He looked like he was just having like the best BJ of his life. He's like,
That's what I said. I just don't think. I mean, even all the fighters' reactions, and I think a lot of people were like you. It was kind of turned into a version of Fight One that as soon as Edward would start opening up to strike, and that's what it looked like. How the finish happened was he got a little lazy, but he was faking around, gonna do that, takedown, and then kapop. I mean, and he got whacked. So
yeah.
My takeaway from last night was basically that Costa, if he makes weight, he's a freak. He's something to contend with. Especially, I couldn't imagine if he made weight the right way and came in full energy and could just, but he's going to be a freak to contend with for quite a while to come.
What'd you think about Rockhold just wiping his blood all over his face like that? That's disgusting.
Yeah, that's right. That was kind of my other take. Was it's probably time either Rockholtz is probably done in UFC.
Says he's done.
And Aldo's probably needs to be done. Aldo was one of my favorite fighters to watch, but he was kind of the same way last night. Just could not. Yeah, just it's time to walk away. I did watch most all the prelims, a couple good heavyweight fights. A couple not so great fights, but Usman, I think losing was huge. I mean, the betting odds were definitely against it. I don't think, but they did already say there will be a trilogy, a 3, and I think there has to be 1 and 1, and I think that'll be next. So we'll see. Edwards is younger, faster, whatever. I don't think he's much younger, but a better striker. So
yeah.
That was it on that. GronkCast sucks. Hopefully they don't do that again. Don't recommend it.
He's not that entertaining. He's more entertaining on the field than he is in real life.
Nothing they've ever done with him. Like they did a Super Bowl thing with him, and it was fucking horrible. And
he was horrible as the host of WrestleMania. He sucks.
He's zero personality. He has zero. He's not a fucking speaker, dude. He doesn't have it. I'm not educated or whatever, but he's just dumb in the head, man.
He's cool to watch on the field because he's different. And then when
he's fun to party with.
Catch him, yeah. And if he was partying and if he was just your boy, he'd probably be fun to be around. But he don't have the acting chops or whatever it is to do that.
No, I did not. I did not enjoy it. None of his brothers were good. I did like there was one, the youngest one, played
the one that played for the Cowboys.
Yeah, and he caught a touchdown from Romo. And actually, he's the second youngest or whatever. I liked him. Other than that, I could care less. The one that played baseball made the creepiest comment ever. He talked about they made a comment about the LeBron thing, about how he said that, and he said he would look out in stands for the hottest girl. Was how it was a total Gronk thing. And the dad was they're just meatheads, man. They're the social equivalent of meatloaf. It's good. You can eat it. It could sustain you. Fun to, every once in a while, but it's just meatloaf. So
they're like the Kardashians.
Yeah.
But meatloaf.
But less boring. And I mean, Gronk's got a decent ass, but I don't want to watch his sex tape. I'd watch all of the Kardashians, even Caitlyn Jenner's sex tape at this point, just for interest. And now that you said it's not gay, apparently, I can.
Yeah, that
would be your quality. That would be that answers your question right there. So in the first show, TJ, in the middle of a very serious segment I had on the raid of Trump Palace, TJ brought up, is it gay to watch a full female born with all female organs, pleasure or have sex with a transitioning man that is up top, from waist up, a beautiful woman, but from waist down, just like Caitlyn Jenner, beautiful from the waist up, boobs, beautiful face, looks just like a woman, just like our first lady, our former first lady, and no, sorry, not really, and so does that change your stance on it a little bit?
It makes it a little gross, but
she is a woman. She won Woman of the Year.
Well, yeah.
Her first year.
I do have something for you about the Kardashians, since we were kind of talked about it a little bit.
What do you got there?
Okay, so
not the Gronkdashians.
Not the Gronkdashians.
Okay.
So the Buffalo Bills barely lost a game in 1970 by missing a bad pass for a touchdown. The loss allowed them to get the first pick in the draft, where they took O.J. Simpson.
And he's
OJ lived in.
We'll be talking about him coming up.
Yeah. OJ lived in Buffalo where he met his wife, Nicole, and then allegedly killed her. Then he hired Robert Kardashian.
He did. 100%.
Then he hired Robert Kardashian to be his lawyer. They won the case, making the Kardashians somewhat famous. Then Kim drops the sex tape and becomes famous. So basically, the 1970 Buffaloes are the reason we have to deal with the Kardashians today. Because if they had won that game, they would have had the pick they took OJ with, so he would have never met Nicole, thus never had the chance to kill her, preventing the entire Kardashian family from ever being even a sliver of a subject in modern culture.
Huh.
Damn you, Buffalo Bills, damn you.
Yeah, I seen that. That was pretty good.
So it's really whoever that quarterback is his fault. I mean, like, whoever that was that threw the bad pass,
I was going to say, I don't know what history, maybe his whole life does. I mean, could you imagine OJ goes to the Raiders or whatever that is, and he meets somebody else, a black chick
and doesn't kill her.
Yeah, and doesn't kill her, and has, just a whole different story. He's, I guess this will be a natural transition into one of my games I wanted to play. I was going to do, and I don't know if you even got a list brought up here, but I did top 3 athletes turned actor. And actually, OJ was on my honorable mention up before the Nicole thing, before the murder thing. He would have been on my list because Naked Gun and some of the things.
He was awesome in that.
He did some good acting work, and he did later on some horrible things that I do not condone. But that's the same thing. I like Sons of Anarchy, and we talked about that dude from Sons of Anarchy that went crazy and killed people later. That is not on me. That's on that guy. I liked him as an actor, not as a person. So,
are you talking about him still in the sports memorabilia that he did wrong?
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. The sports the stuff that he went to jail for,
Yeah.
And he's on parole for still currently.
Mm-hmm.
So did you get you a list of your top?
I just kind of thought, since we talked about it a little bit, I would say The Rock.
Okay.
Former Miami Hurricane, WWE superstar. He's the biggest.
He would make the list because he's done 3 different sports, played football in college, pro, and wrestled, and then went and made a ton of movies, and is probably.
I mean, he's the biggest movie star on the planet. Sure.
Yeah, I don't know if he's the best, but biggest.
Biggest, yeah.
Yes.
Biggest doesn't mean best.
No, I'm with you.
And
Yeah, Christopher Walken was a top 5 actor for a couple of years, and no, I'm with you.
You could put. I mean, Batista's been in a ton of movies that make a lot of movies. So is John Cena.
Yeah. I figured. So here's the one I picked for you. I figured it was Rock, Arnold Schwarzenegger, because he's one of your top guys, and you love him and read and lived your life by him. And then for some reason, I guessed Tony Danza for you, but I didn't know.
Baseball player.
Yeah, baseball player turned best cleaner and actor.
Yeah.
So that was yours. My number 3 on my list was Burt Reynolds, pro football player, college football player. He also played baseball. Very talented athlete, great actor. Boogie Nights. Did a couple other movies like Smokey and the Bandit and Longest Yard, and
he's in both Longest Yards.
I know, that's what I said. I was going to say, and the remake of Longest Yard.
Him and Lee Corso were roommates.
Really?
In college, they both played for Florida State.
And then, honestly, the reason I love Burt Reynolds, and I don't even remember what the show is called, but he was on a sitcom like the Burt Reynolds Show or some stupid. I don't even remember what it was, but he was on that growing up, and I think I watched every. I should know the name of it, but it was on like after Married with Children, and Burt Reynolds was like vulgar in it, and he was always drinking. And honestly, I thought he was Tom Selleck, and I loved Magnum PI, and I always thought it was going to turn into Magnum PI, but it wasn't. So, who else did you have on yours? Oh, you got it was Batista and Cena.
You put the Boz on there. He's in some good movies.
Yeah, I was gonna say he would be on Conrad's. He was noted, great athlete, turned into a couple good movies. I had Jim Brown on mine. Because Dusk to Dawn, one of my favorite movies, and he's fucking badass in that. And also honorable mention, the guy that played Hightower was also Bubba Smith, was or whatever, was in that too as a guy, I think. And then my number 1 athlete, and these are just, again, I'm not saying best, these are my favorite, but my number 1 athlete turned actor is Ed O'Neill, Al Bundy. He was 4 touchdowns in a state championship game.
He did.
He actually, I think, really did play college football and some other stuff and was a real good athlete back in his day. And then I did have honorable mention for me was Arnold and The Rock. I enjoy The Rundown, which is a horrible Rock movie, but still a great one to me. What's the one that the Stand Your Ground, Take Your Hometown Back? That one.
The show that Burt Reynolds was in was called Evening Shade.
There we go. Evening Shade, great one. Well, I'm going to go back and watch that, and I challenge you to watch an episode and tell me Burt Reynolds isn't great in that. He's better in that than he is in Smokey and the Bandit. That's what all.
Since you can buy it on Amazon, it says a former pro football player moves back to his childhood home.
And I think he coaches, and it's like, and I used to love that show too, The Coach, with Dauber and them. So I think that played right off of that. So those were mine. And I got a couple others we're going to get to in a minute. And I don't know if you had your list. You challenged me, and we're going to do it to a top Brad Pitt movies. But we'll get to that here in just a second. In current news, and this affects all the shows that I'm part of. This is those guys from Wichita, Con Radio Shed Show. This is OK Taco Show. This goes back to the original Monday Papers, to the Conrad and Jack Show, to the Connie G Show. Everything that any show's been about. Gary Busey faces sex charges. He's been a long time discussion on the show. Gary Busey faces sex offense charges, or several sex offense charges in connection with an incident during a horror fan convention in New Jersey this month, according to reports. Police responded to the Doubletree Hotel in Pennsylvania. I freaking screenshot this, and so there's some stuff over it. Near Pennsylvania, that was hosting the Monster Mania Con for reports of a sex offense, the Cherry Hill Police report. Busey, 78, known for his roles in films, such films as The Buddy Holly Story, Point Break, which he was great in, another 48 Hours, I think he was in that.
He was a really good actor before he got in that wreck. He was good.
That's why I said I think he was good. I think he's just crazy.
Well, you know what? You know why he's crazy is he wrecked his motorcycle and cracked his head open. That's why he looks so weird and everything.
But you don't think it has anything to do with all the drugs and alcohol and stuff that he's done?
I think it all happened after that.
That's just like accelerated also the effects.
Well, it just made it weird. Yeah, but I just watched I watched it over a couple of days. I watched Predator 2 the other day. He was good in that. He's so weird in Entourage, though. But
he plays that and everything he's in after that, and then all of this. But on Friday, Cherry Hill detectives charged Busey of Malibu, California, with 2 counts of sexual contact in the 4th degree, 1 count of criminal sexual contact, and in the 4th degree, and 1 count of harassment. I don't know if that's like
what's the 4th degree?
I don't know. That's what I'm saying.
What would that be?
Flashing? I was going to see if it said here. No further information was provided to police. The Associated Press report investigation is ongoing. Anybody with additional information is urged to contact the department, which will reach out. Representatives of Busey did not immediately return messages. I'm going to look that up because I'd like to know what is 4th degree sexual misconduct.
I got it right here.
Okay, I was going to say my phone's not letting me do it.
4th degree sexual assault might be simply sexual contact without consent or with consent that was obtained as a result of a position of authority the offender had over the victim.
So like grabbing ass or grabbing a tit or something, or rubbing your dick on somebody or something, or your penis, your lapenis.
It says, lapenis. It says when the actor, not actor like as in Gary Busey, the person, subjects another person to sexual contact.
Or in this case, the actor Gary Busey.
It could be this is for, it could be with a minor too.
And it doesn't say that, but yeah, maybe that's what, again, not all details have been released. So we'll get in more to that, as more unfolds, because that'll have to be, we're going to keep you in the loop. We don't want you to know. I don't know if you watch the news, and this is dear to my heart. We haven't talked about it on this show because I haven't been going because of my money situation. Vegas flooded, man. And if you've watched the videos of it, and I don't have none of them, and we'll get better at screenshotting and showing you all that. TJ's got some of that ability. But places that you walk, that you go, that I frequent and know, stand, go hide and smoke weed at, stuff like that, were just underwater. Like it was coming into fronts, like lower parts of hotels. And you see why now the hotels are built up the way they are, because it explains, and there's no drainage there. They said it's like the worst flood in 10 years. When we went for our honeymoon, and when did I get married? 02, something like that.
Yeah, 2003.
We went we went to sleep and woke up, and we'd heard it rain at night. You don't think nothing of it. We live in a town. If it rains and dumps, you get up and it's wet outside. And we turn on the thing, and we're in like the 10th floor. And it says, Vegas hotel members stranded in their hotel, can't leave, streets flooded, blah, blah. We're like, what the fuck? We go out. By then, it had almost receded back, but the streets were still underwater at this point. But all the sidewalks were uncovered. And apparently our parking lot at the hotel we were in, cars, not like flooded completely, but like if you were in a lowrider car, it could have got water. It was, the whole parking lot was covered, no drainage. So between the locusts, the floods, all the shit that's gone on in the last couple of years in Vegas, I don't know if, Sin City, God, I don't know if that's the smite of God or what's going on there.
Yeah.
But
out here in New Mexico, they call this monsoon season. It rains almost every day out here, like in the afternoon. And you see shit building up, and then it'll rain. It'll mostly storm, but it won't necessarily dump a lot. But what does happen out here is, say you could be 3 miles away and it could be raining like a crazy 3 miles away, and all that water will come and you can get your ass in a fucking bind real quick. Last year when we were out here, it happened. It didn't even rain where we were at, but it takes like an hour to get back to the pavement from where we're at, and we came up to a rough washout where we couldn't get across, and we had to just wait.
That's crazy.
So,
well, that's why I said in those undeveloped, the guy I work with was telling me he worked on, basically he listened to our last show. And he's the guy that I do, which you'll find we'll get some episodes up here soon, Car Show Bros with. He's my 63-year-old best buddy, Steve. He worked in Farmington, and he talked about some of that stuff. We were talking about the Vegas floods, and he talked about some of that exact stuff. The company he was there for, they did a bunch of the surveying and laying the original stuff there. He worked for Phillips Morris or something like that did a lot of it. And we're down to 10 minutes. We're going to cut this off pretty quick, so you know. But he talked just about some of that stuff and getting stranded out there, so he understands your plight out there in Farmington.
Yeah.
So we
have much longer
a list. Yeah, I was gonna say we were gonna get to that here real quick. TJ's coming home. Next show we're gonna kind of probably go more into detail on it, but he sounds like he's accepted a position to come back here. So maybe 2 more shows recorded like this. And then you'll get us sitting actually next to each other. I don't know if it'll be better or worse or what. Quality of content or the sound should be better, a little cleaner, and all that. But so he's coming home, and we'll break it down a little more. Did you end up telling yesterday or no?
Not yet. I almost did.
Well, so that's what I'll wait till you do it. Then we'll do it on the show. So and we'll get to the Brad Pitt movies next week, and then I also I did want to go out just on basically a favorite athletes list. Did you do that one?
Favorite athlete list?
Yeah,
I did not do that.
Okay, well, we'll do that one next week anyway. It's okay. We're going to do every show, especially the second segment, we're going to do some more games and some top 3 lists and just something like that. We are going to be doing it'll probably be between, I'm going to get Steve to do it, and hopefully Chris. We'll do the 4 of us. We're going to do a pick 4 instead of a smoothie pick 3. We're going to do a pick 4. TJ was a long time, he's not really no more, but a long time New England fan. So we're going to pick New England and whoever they're playing most likely. I'm a Cowboys fan. TJ is currently a Cowboys fan. I don't know why he likes the misery. So we're going to pick that game, and then we'll pick, maybe the 2 biggest games or the worst games or something of that week every week, and keep a running score. And maybe we'll get a tattoo or something, we won't, but we'll say we're going to do it for a tattoo or make the other person record like a real bad segment or something, like, I don't know. So, I'm going to, every week we're going to try to do a show. Like I said, we'll be back next week, most likely like this, and maybe again one more, and then go from there. Have different stuff every week. We'll keep you up to date on the Gary Busey stuff. We're done updating you on the abortion stuff, at least in this local state. And then we'll get to it next week. The only other thing I didn't get to was J-Lo and Ben got married again, and Casey Affleck didn't go. So, I mean, that was a big story.
Oh, no. Not invited or didn't go?
I think he was invited and just didn't go. And I think he just said, I've been to too many of them. Between both of you guys, I'm done.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll
How many times are you going to get married?
Yeah, let's go to an anniversary party or something. Try one of those. Get to an anniversary, and then we'll go to that one or something. So, all right, man. Thanks for everybody for listening. I'll have this up on YouTube either later tonight or tomorrow, and I'll have the audio, same thing, either tonight or tomorrow. Thanks, TJ. We'll holler at you later, buddy.
See ya.
Paper Boys or those guys or the Monday morning middle of the road out.